Welcome to Lifing 101, a journey through life's experiences, challenges, and interpretations. An intriguing and soul-refining podcast that explores the countless twists of life. Get ready to be amused, enlightened, entertained, empowered, and inspired. Hosted by Tina C. Christian, your MC with the LPC, and guest co-host Lorenda McKinney, your MC with the PhD.
Welcome, lovely listeners, to an exciting episode of Lifing 101 podcast,
where we dive into life's little mysteries and offer you insights to help you lead a happier, more fulfilling life.
I'm your MC with the LPC, Tina C. Christian, navigating y'all through this journey up and down and all around on this emotional roller coaster we call life.
And I'm your MC with the PhD, Lorenda McKinney. So grab your favorite beverage, find a comfortable spot, sit back and relax while we embark on this restorative journey together.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening out there. So today we're talking about mastering your mind, breaking free from negative emotions. So, hey, Doc, what do you want to talk about first about these negative emotions and how we can break free and don't let them basically control our lives? How can we prevent ourselves from allowing negative emotions to control our lives? And what's some ways that, or some things that we can talk about to help people to understand why it's important not to allow negative emotions to control our lives?
So I would say one of the things for figuring out what's some ways is you have to understand what they are first. Mm-hmm. And I think just with anything, you have to answer that question, what or why. Mm-hmm. So you have to know what negative emotions are, because sometimes we might not even realize that they're negative emotions.
Right.
So we definitely don't know if they're controlling us because we don't even identify it as that.
Right. That's true. I can understand that because I know some people that have a real negative affect about them, and I've stated that to them before and they didn't even understand what the hell I was talking about. But when you have that negative outlook on things or just always kind of pessimistic, I would say that maybe that would help them to understand, what that looks like and what those negative emotions are. So to help our listeners understand what they are, what are some of the negative emotions that you can think of?
So probably a huge one would be anger. And a lot of, when you're being the angry bird, that's not normal.
Right.
And even if you think it's the new norm, because that's just usually how you're feeling, being an angry bird is not normal and it's not pleasant.
It's not. And some people, like you said, they're like, that's just how I am.
Yeah.
You've been needing to change for a long time.
Yeah.
Just because that's the way you are doesn't mean it's normal. It's actually pretty abnormal.
Right.
I mean, anger is a valid emotion that it's okay to have sometimes. Yeah. But it's not normal to have all the time.
Right.
So if you're always angry, then yes, that's probably a negative emotion about yourself that you really need to take a look at and take heed to the fact that you need to figure out, like, why am I so damn angry? So anger. Yeah, definitely. One that I can think of is emptiness. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty negative emotion. I mean, just the word in itself is negative. Empty. If you're feeling empty, and when I say emptiness, meaning that you're hopeless, you have despair, or like you don't feel like there's any future ahead, or if you're going to get ahead, or life's not worth living.
Right. There's nothing there.
Yeah. That's a very serious negative emotions. If you're feeling empty about life in general or about your life, then definitely something is abnormal there.
Right.
Something's wrong. Yeah, definitely. What's another one you can think of?
I would say frustration. And frustration and anger can kind of go together. One can lead to the other one. But we're not saying these things just if you from time to time feel this way, because we all do. Right. We're saying if most of your time is spent in these areas, then something is probably wrong.
Now, Doc, frustration and anger, yes. Emptiness, if you're feeling empty, no.
Yeah.
I take that one very seriously, because emptiness sometimes leads to suicidal ideation, and sometimes people take their lives. So if you're feeling empty, then that is very abnormal. Yeah. You may want to talk to someone about that, or seek some professional assistance and lean on and into others for assistance and support, because emptiness is not a good place ever to be.
Right.
So while the other negative emotions that we're speaking of in regarding to anger and frustration, yes, very be normal to have those from time to time.
Yeah.
But emptiness is so serious to me that anytime you feel empty, I'm concerned.
I agree, because that's like you have nothing to live for.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's nothing
kind
there.
Of hopelessness.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree with that.
I'm going to stop us right there, make sure that people understand that we're not saying emptiness is normal, because if you're feeling empty, something's really going on, and I advise you to seek some professional assistance immediately.
I agree.
Okay, so sorry to stop you, but just needed to make sure that our listeners understand what that means.
Yes,
so
totally.
Definitely emptiness is not a normal emotion or feeling to have really anytime. If you're feeling empty, if you can't snap out of it immediately, then I'm going to need you to get some help. So frustration, definitely. Frustration and anger, I agree. They go together.
Yeah.
And that's normal. When you're frustrated, you usually get angry or vice versa. So, and hell, if I stub my toe, I'm going to be frustrated and angry. So that's pretty normal. But again, if you're living...
That's what I was going to say. If you're living there and unpacking everything and you just going to stay for a while, that's when it becomes a problem, because you tend to want people to just deal with it. This is the way I am. You just going to have to deal with it. That's when it's bad, when you think you're that way so much that people need to get used to it. Because no, hell no. No.
And my thing is this, when you said that, I thought about when people say, it's okay to be who you are. Mm-hmm. But my thing is this, as long as you're not affecting or harming anyone else in a negative way or intentionally or something like that. So it's okay to be angry and be frustrated and be you on a time-to-time basis. But if you're affecting other people or harming other people with your actions or behaviors or your negative affect, then that's a problem. Yeah. That's a problem. Yeah. Understand the difference, people, because it's okay to be angry and frustrated. But if you're that person walking around always angry and frustrated, got your face all frowned up and mad at the damn world, you're affecting other people. Yeah. And if we waiting for you to snap and we're sitting on the edge, that's unfair to us, because we can't be comfortable around you, because we don't know when you're going to go one more notch up. So no. Postal or some shit. Yeah. No, we don't need that around us. So if you're always angry and always frustrated, that shit ain't normal. Yeah. No. So, and that's just who I am. Well, then it's something wrong. Yeah. You may want to correct that. You may want to see that that's a problem. Yeah, for sure. And another one that I can think of is inadequacy. Mm-hmm. So if you're feeling like you're always feeling like, or often feeling like you're not enough. Yeah. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not skinny enough. Oh, hell, there's always going to be someone that's going to be more than you. But you have to know that you are enough. Mm-hmm. So we're not saying that you can't feel inadequate about things at certain times. But if you're always feeling inadequate, and especially in multiple aspects of your life, then that's very negative. That's a negative type of emotion to have consistently or on a constant basis. Inadequacy, we know it's real. It does exist. Yeah. However, it should not be a norm. No, it should not be a norm. You can't wake up every morning feeling like you're not enough, go to bed every night feeling like you're not enough. You can't live in that space. You just cannot, because maybe if you do feel that way, maybe you're not surrounded by the right people. Mm-hmm. Because if they're making you feel that way, it's something that's making you feel that way. And if it's the people that you are around, those are not your people. That's a good point. You may want to ask yourself why. Yeah. In all of these, you may want to ask yourself, why am I angry? Why am I always angry? Why am I so angry? Why am I feeling empty? Right. Why am I feeling frustrated? Why do I feel inadequate or feel like I'm not enough? That's a very good point. That's a good starting point for everybody. Yeah. Is it people, places, and things, or is it really you? Mm-hmm. So if it's people, places, and things that you're subjecting yourself to, you need to change it. Yes. Yeah, you need to change it ASAP. Yes. That's a good point. And then another one that, of course, I would mention that I can think of is helplessness. Yeah. Because that's another serious one, like emptiness. Yeah. If you're feeling helpless. Now, sometimes we feel helpless in certain situations, and it's normal. Right. Again, some of these emotions are normal to have temporarily. Right. But if you're always feeling helpless, then I would, again, caution you to definitely seek some assistance and think about what that looks like. Why are you feeling helpless? Right. What does that mean? And then talk to someone, not just to a friend, but maybe a professional, because helplessness can turn into hopelessness, and that emptiness can turn into hopelessness and can really show up in a way that we don't want it to. Right. So if you're feeling helpless about a certain situation, that's normal. But if you're feeling helpless overall, then that's not normal. So definitely seek some assistance.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Because if you just feel helplessness, you basically are just feeling like you don't have anything to give.
You can't do shit. You can't control shit. You can't give shit. You can't. It's a sad, scary.
That would be sad.
Lonely place to be.
Yeah.
Emptiness and helplessness, hopelessness. Those are really a crazy place to be. So if you're feeling that all the time, know this, people. That's abnormal. It's not normal.
Right.
So if you're feeling those negative emotions all the time, see someone about that.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, but what's another one you can think of, Doc?
I would say fear.
Mm-hmm.
And fear is not always negative. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because change is good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's natural that when you're about to try something you've never done before, you're going to have a temporary feeling of fear.
Definitely.
Keyword, temporary.
Mm-hmm.
But you should not live in fear.
Right.
No one should make you feel that way. Their name shouldn't make you feel that way or anything like that.
Sure.
But there's okay to have that temporary fear where you're going to a job interview or you're trying something that you've never done before, or you're about to ask somebody something that's very big and you don't know what the answer may be. Those are normal. That's pretty normal to have a little fear of what the answer may be.
Yeah.
But once the answer comes, you live with it and you're over it. It's not like you're constantly sitting in your home scared to go out. Like literally will not go outside because you're scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fear is a normal emotion to have, and it is a negative emotion, and it will become more negative if it's all the time.
Yeah.
So again, you can't live in fear.
Yeah.
And when you said fear, I thought about, help me, she's on TV.
Myers?
Yes, Joyce Myers. She made a very good point, and I've never forgotten it. I was listening to her, that it comes on late at night and stuff. I can't sleep.
Yeah, it comes on the same time you can buy the rice water or whatever. Because I sat up some nights and thought about that rice water, but out of fear, I said I bet not, because I might not get nothing for my money.
Right. But she has stated, replace fear with faith, and you will be okay.
Yeah.
So that always, when I hear the word fear, I always try to replace fear with faith. I try. But again, it's normal to have fear. It is a normal emotion. But if you're always feeling fearful, that's not normal. If you're fearing every darn thing, if you're sitting up in your house with type of phobias or things like that because you're so fearful, that's not normal. And you may definitely want to seek some assistance for that. But fear of the unknown is normal.
Yeah.
So kind of like what you were talking about, you don't know what you're going to get in regarding to the response or the answers, or when you're going to an interview or when you're showing up for some sort of event or whatever, you may have a fear that's normal of what to expect.
Right.
But just being fearful in general all the time in life, that's not normal. If you're fearful for everything, like you don't want to go out, you don't want to talk to people, you're scared of people, places, things, and times and spaces, then that's not normal. And that's a very negative affect and a very bad place to be.
Right. Because it's going to eventually lead, once you start isolating yourself, it's going to lead to that emptiness, hopelessness, helplessness, because you're not going to have anything. You're going to be so scared that you feel like maybe it's better to just not have to deal with it at all.
Correct.
Yeah.
Definitely. So another that I can think of as well is guilt. And people have guilt for a lot of different reasons.
Yes.
And sometimes, I don't know. I don't ever feel like, personally, I'm not even going to say professionally, but I'm going to say personally, I don't feel like guilt is a good emotion to ever have.
Me neither.
I say that because unless, let me back up. I guess unless you're doing something intentionally to people, but then those that are, they don't have any kind of conscience, so they don't have guilt. But I mean, if you've done something and you feel like you did something out of whatever reason, you had a good reason for it, then by all means, there's no reason to feel guilty about what you were trying to do. But I know some people do live in guilt. They're always feeling guilty and always apologizing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Stop being sorry about everything.
Right.
If you're feeling sorry about everything, then take a look at your life and understand why. Why am I always sorry? Why am I always feeling guilty about something that I did? Because you couldn't possibly be that bad of a person, or you couldn't possibly be doing something all the time to everybody that you're always feeling guilty and feeling sorry for things. So if you're one of those people that are always saying, I'm sorry, or if you're sitting and feeling guilty about something that you did, you may want to take some self-inventory and ask yourself, why? Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel like I need to always apologize? Why do I feel like like that I've done something to wrong someone, because that's what guilt is about.
Right.
You feel like you've wronged somebody or did something wrong. So why do you feel like you've done something wrong? But then you have those people that think, I can't do anything right.
Right.
So like kind of with that inadequacy. So they're probably feeling guilty because they feel like they can't do things right.
Yeah.
But if you're putting your best foot forward and you're always trying to take advantage of opportunities and doing the best that you can, because we're all different. We all have different limitations and goals and talents and, skills and things. So you can't be feeling guilty about your abilities.
Right.
As long as you've done your best, or as long as you had good intentions, then if you're sitting up feeling guilty all the time, then that may be a problem. Something's wrong there.
Right. I say key word is doing your best. Your best is not everybody else's best, but if you literally can go to sleep at night and you know you've given it all you got, there's no reason to feel any type of guilt. But I do think guilt can be unhealthy, because I do know people that guilt themselves. I know people that are surrounded by people that will guilt them because they know that it will affect them.
Correct. Because some people take that to heart. Yeah. And so if you're around those manipulative people that are trying to guilt and shame you into doing things, then guilt can be a bad thing. And then if you're constantly feeling guilty about not doing something right, or not doing something correct, or that's bad too. Yeah. Definitely. Correct. Yeah. What's something else that you can think of, or do you have any other suggestions about in regarding to negative emotions that people may be feeling that can be really taking control of their lives? I would say loneliness, and it's huge. And there's this quote that basically it says that sometimes the loneliest people are surrounded by people, and it's bad when you're around a lot of people and you still feel lonely. So loneliness doesn't just mean you're always by yourself, because a lot of times when people do commit suicide, nobody's seen it coming because they're always surrounded by people. They seem okay, but that doesn't have anything to do with how you feel on the inside. Right. So you can be sitting there amongst people, like there's like 2 or 3 people that were comedians and really happy people. Yes. And nobody could believe that they committed suicide because they were always around people. They were always making people laugh. Yeah. They were always smiling and laughing. So sometimes you have to see past that so that you can see the loneliness. And that one, it definitely goes with like what Tina said earlier about emptiness, the emptiness, the helplessness, the loneliness, because I'm thinking the loneliness is your last step. That's usually right before someone does something to hurt themselves. Right. Any of those 3 that you just named usually go with this feeling of... Yeah, those are trigger words. Yeah, they're kind of the hopelessness, the despair type of emotions, negative or major negative emotions, I would call them, because when you're in those frame of minds, there's no telling what can happen. Exactly. So be careful if you're out there feeling lonely. And we don't mean just sitting alone. Right. Because some of us are actually alone, but that doesn't mean you're lonely. Right. But if you're sitting alone and you're always lonely, or if you're sitting in a room full of people or always around people and you still feel lonely, then that's very abnormal. I would advise you to seek some assistance and ask yourself as well, why? Why do I feel so lonely? Why do I feel lonely when I'm sitting in a crowded freaking room full of people? Why am I feeling so lonely? Right. Because then that's something else that's going on within you that you need to really address and pay attention to and be mindful of, because loneliness can take you to that place where you don't want to go, Yeah, and that's definitely probably internal. And I'm going to say at that point, you definitely need to seek some attention, because nobody's going to be able to fix that for you. If you're in a room full of people and you still feel it, nobody is going to be able to fix that for you. So you're going to have to turn that over to a professional. Yeah. To just kind of recap on what we've talked about, and I'm sure there's going to be other negative emotions, but these are some of the ones that we really wanted to bring to your attention, because again, 3 of these are major to me. Yeah. All of them are, something to look at, but anger, emptiness, frustration, inadequacy, helplessness, fear, guilt, and loneliness. If you're constantly or consistently feeling these type of negative emotions on a regular, then that's not a good thing, and it's not normal. It's abnormal. All of these emotions are normal emotions to have. Again, we're not saying that you won't ever feel these emotions. We're saying that you shouldn't always feel these emotions.
Right. If that's your regular state of being and your regular mindset, then you definitely need to pay attention to that. And like we said, these are not the only negative emotions. They're not. These are just some, because we probably could go on and probably lay in our bed tonight and think of 3 more and be like, oh my God, we forgot that one. So we're saying just because you're not these things does not mean that there may not be negative emotions there. These are just the ones that we have covered today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But know this, people. The negative emotions, they do have an impact on your life.
They do.
And think about it. They're negative emotions. Mm-hmm. So if you're having them constantly, more than one even, then how's that going to affect your life? It's going to affect your life in a negative way, right?
It is.
So, having negative emotions or being a negative person or having a negative affect or always being pessimistic, which is also negative, these emotions are more likely to make you kind of dislike yourself or others. Mm-hmm. They're going to actually reduce your confidence in yourself. Mm-hmm. They're going to make you feel bad, lower your self-esteem. Basically, you're not going to have a good life type of satisfaction.
Right.
You're definitely going to be feeling like, I'm not satisfied with life.
Right. Because you don't even know how to be.
Yeah. How could you?
Yeah.
With all of this negativity within your life, how could you be happy? How could you be feeling like this is, a great life?
Right.
I'm satisfied. Oh, no.
Right. While you're crying and hollering and cussing, but I'm happy. Really?
Right. So just know that they do have a very negative impact. Just like positive, emotions are going to have a positive impact. Come on, that's self-explanatory.
Right.
If you're always negative, what are you going to get? You're going to get negative.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
These emotions, they can become negative, also such as hate, anger, jealousy, and sadness. Those things, just think about it. If you lived a life with all of these negative type of emotions and feelings, what is that? What does that look like? Could you imagine just being full of anger and hate and fear and sadness and jealousy and envy all day? That takes a lot of energy.
That's exhausting as hell.
Exhausting. And that's why, this is off topic somewhat, but not. When I look at people that are like any of those isms, like, for instance, racism, and then you have these supremacists and things like that hate people. Hate is a strong negative emotion. And it takes a lot of energy to hate things and or people.
Yeah.
And so, again, just think about the energy that it takes to have these negative emotions all the time.
Yeah.
You could not be feeling uplifted, happy, empowered, or any of those positive emotions if you're always negative and have these negative emotions, because it's definitely going to take control of your life. Right. And it's going to take control of your mindset, your day, your perspective on life and everything. So you really need to learn how to not have such a negative attitude or negative perspective or negative feelings about, life in general or just every day in your life.
Yeah, because imagine waking up and the first thing you start thinking about is negative stuff. You're going to be ready to lay your ass right back down.
Right.
Because you just cannot walk through life every day. Trust me, there's always something to be grateful for.
Right.
Starting with just waking up.
Amen.
So and then you're probably getting in your car after you're leaving your house, driving to your job. So you're able to, you're able to walk to your job.
Amen.
So you have to think of those things. It just cannot be that bad. Don't get me wrong. We have bad moments, but it's not a bad life.
Yeah, but that negative attitude, that negative perspective, that negative affect, all of that, it's really going to create chronic stress in your life.
It will.
You cannot be happy with all of this negativity and negative emotions around you. So, and it also affects you physically.
Yeah, it does.
And people fail to realize that when you have that kind of negative affect and negative energy all day, every day, it's going to upset your body's hormonal balance. It's going to deplete the brain of chemical requirements that are needed to even try to be happy. It's going to also damage your immune system.
Yeah. You're going to be sick all the time.
Correct. Yeah. That chronic stress is going to actually decrease your lifespan. It's going to decrease your quality of life, your ability to enjoy people and other things. So if you're having all of this, you really need to seek some assistance from a professional and definitely reach out for support from others and surround yourself around people that will really uplift you in your time of need, because that's not normal. Yeah. So speaking of which, let's just talk about how can they have some things or strategies for managing negative emotions. What are some coping strategies that they can do? I mean, like I said before, we know seek some help.
Right.
And definitely, reach out to others and try to surround yourself around supportive, positive people. But what's some other things that they can do?
You're definitely going to want to do regular self-check-ins. Like if you do feel yourself, so this is how you have to have something to compare it to.
Right.
If you're always sad and down, you kind of don't have nothing to compare it to because your ass is always that way.
Yeah.
But if you're usually happy, we're the people that'll probably check ourselves first because you start feeling yourself coming out of character. It's not normal for you to feel this way. So you go, okay, what's going on that's making me feel it? Because you do feel it and you feel it immediately. And you probably usually feel it before anybody get a chance to tell you. Because if you're so aware of how you normally feel, you're going to know right away. And then just going back a little bit to what Tina just said, your immune system and the stress, you'll start feeling that. You'll start feeling that. If you just don't feel well at all, you feel like you're not being your normal self, that's self-awareness. And you just have to be aware of what's going on and what's making you feel that way. And if it's people, maybe you need to limit the interaction with those people.
Right.
Trust me, and they can be people that you love to death or people that you've been around for a long time, but they also can no longer serve a purpose or make you feel some kind of way when you're around them.
That is so true. But increased awareness about your emotions.
Yes.
Regular check-ins to see how you feel. And something else that I'm thinking of is like basically, first of all, you have to accept your feelings because they are valid.
Right.
And like I said, it's okay to have negative emotions, but you're going to have both. You're going to have negative and you're going to have positive. It's about the healthy balance again. And it's like not all or nothing. You shouldn't be having all positive, because if you just always damn happy and ain't nothing going on, something wrong with you too. You're masking. However, if you have positive and negative emotions throughout your life and throughout the days, then that is pretty normal. But another thing that you can actually do to kind of, like Doc was saying, increase your awareness about your emotions is just trying to practice mindfulness.
Yeah.
Being mindful of what's going on, what you're feeling every day. And that's taking that self-inventory and kind of how I've said before, like, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Right.
And what's your goal for today? And who can help you with that? That's the sanctuary model. If you're living like that, maybe if you're feeling like you're having all these negative emotions, or if you feel like you're out of balance, maybe by practicing mindfulness, you can get up and ask yourself even that through the day. That could be a ritual, a mindfulness ritual that you could do and say, so how am I feeling?
Right.
How am I feeling? And be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Take the time to sit there and really think, because when people ask you how you feel, you usually have to sit there and think. I do. So if you ask me right now, like, Tina, how you feel? I'm going to have to sit here and think about a feeling to put with what I'm actually feeling.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, how am I feeling? And then put a word with that feeling and then say, okay, so what's my goal for today?
Right,
like, do I need to change that feeling?
Am I okay with
that
this?
feeling?
Yeah.
And if I'm not, who can help me with this?
Right.
So that's something that you can do. Practice mindfulness about your feelings and your emotion and check in with yourself on a daily basis.
Right.
What's something else that you think people can do in regarding to strategies to deal with managing their negative emotions?
Practice optimism and laugh.
Definitely.
And I'm going to say, if buying yourself some new perfume or something is your optimism, by all means, if you have the available coins to do that,
please put that in there.
Do it.
Because some people use shopping therapy and broken shit and be sitting up building more problems and get themselves into debt. That's something else to be stressed out about.
Right. But when you're feeling some type of way, say, what will make me feel better? Now, I'm not talking about be unrealistic, but sometimes you do say, what will make me feel better right now?
Right.
And maybe you should treat yourself.
Treating yourself. off. Yes.
But laughter is huge. And they always say laughter is good for the soul. It's good for everything in you. It really is.
Everything, yes.
Yeah, and it's good for the people around you, because I guarantee you, if you come around and you're happy and you're laughing, the people around you are going to eventually laugh, no matter how bad they don't want to. It's contagious.
And you can't be mad and laughing. It just doesn't go together.
That would be so awkward.
Even when you're trying to be mad and you laugh, you can't be mad. Because when you're laughing, you can't. You have this different type of feeling and emotion going on within your body.
You're releasing it.
So that was always one of my recommendations, and still is, to family, friends, or others that I talk to. If something's going on and you're having an overload of negative emotions, or if you're feeling anxious or stressed or something, I say, go watch a damn comedy.
Yeah.
Go laugh, because it's hard to be angry, mad, sad, any of those negative emotions when you're laughing.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how much better you feel, or how much energy you feel. So like when I start feeling a certain kind of way, or if my mind's on overload and I'm getting boggled down with my thoughts or emotions, I go turn on the damn TV and I'll find me a movie or something to watch, something funny, because it's hard to feel that. And I kind of escape those emotions for the moment, if nothing else, with laughter.
Yeah, because if somebody asked me what type of movies, we talked about that before, and I told you comedy and romantic stuff.
Yeah.
So either I want to be laughing or think I'm in love. Like, it's just because both of those, love usually makes you happy, laughter usually makes you happy. And honey, I'll watch the marathons of Morton at night like I ain't seen not one of them episodes, and I will laugh like I ain't seen one. Yeah. But it just makes you feel good. It does.
Feel good movies. That's what you want to watch. Now, if you're sad or going through a breakup, then you probably don't want to watch romance.
Okay, so don't do that.
Don't do that if you're going
through then you might be busting windows out of people's cars and all that. So I immediately thought of that.
No, we don't want you doing that.
Yeah, so maybe stick with the comedy.
Comedy is always good. Now, me personally, I love action, but I don't know. You may not want to do that either, because if you're having some negative emotions,
you might turn into Action Jackson. You don't want none of that.
I'm going to kill everybody. No.
Yeah.
But laughter is good for the soul.
Is good.
And honestly, it's good for everyone. So find you a good comedy to watch on TV, YouTube. I'd even suggest finding comedies on, if you're just doing social media, finding some comedy reels. They have reels and TikTok that are funny. Yeah. You know, but be careful for the negative input as well. Right. But definitely laugh. Laugh is good. It is good. And then also increase your emotional regulation. And what I mean by that is, don't just wait till something's going on. Mm-hmm. I tell people all the time, you have to learn how to regulate your moods and your emotions. So it's about mood regulation and emotion management. Mm-hmm. So both of them, mood management, emotion management, mood regulation, emotion management. And what that looks like is always taking care of yourself. Self-care, for one, is major. And it increases your emotional regulation. Right. So if you're always doing things to help you feel better, or things that make you feel good, then it's hard to live in a negative affect or a negative perspective, or being pessimistic. So say, for instance, doing things that make you feel good and that are good for you, whether that's taking a walk, reading a book, taking a bubble bath with some candles lit, and listening to music, going to the park and engaging in and taking in nature, going to the beach, sitting back, watching the water and feeling tranquil. Speaking on the phone and laughing and having good times with friends, or celebrating with friends and family, certain things that make you feel good, things that are good for you, going out for dinners or dates, or meeting up with friends and family, not isolating, not sitting up being a hermit in the house, or always being a couch, but doing things that are going to help you regulate your mood, get moving, be active, and have bonds and relationships with people. Right. And a lot of times when people are in a negative affect, or people are depressed, they don't want to do shit. Yeah, they don't want to do anything. Sit and lay and all that, or become a hermit or something in the house. Get up and get moved. Get out. Go do something. Volunteer. Do something that makes you feel good, or do something for someone else. Because sometimes when you're doing shit for other people, you feel good about yourself. And it makes you feel good. Yeah. It's self-satisfaction too. So definitely increasing your emotional regulation by doing things that are going to make make you feel good is going to be one of the strategies that I think that will definitely help.
That's huge because, it's natural to be moody, but you know those people that are chronically moody, like you just really don't know what mood they're going to be in. You don't know what's going to set them off.
Right.
So there's just no regulation there. And sometimes they are well aware that they're being that way to you.
They are.
Yeah, they're well aware. So don't always sum it up as, oh, they're just in a bad mood or they're just being moody. But you always moody? Like, come on now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good point. And so to kind of follow up on that and how to basically manage your negative emotions, I'd say that one of the important things to do is basically to cultivate positivity. And cultivating positivity, for me, one thing and the major thing is to always try to have a glass half full perspective on life and everything. Because if you have that glass half empty, then you're pretty much pessimistic. If you have a glass half full, you're optimistic.
Right.
Because things can always be worse.
Right.
But if you're looking at things that sort of glass half full, you're thinking like, I have a chance.
Right.
There's a possibility. So with all things. So that's one thing in regarding to cultivating positivity I can, leave you with is saying, just make sure you're thinking with a glass half full and not the glass half empty.
Right.
What's some things you can think of for cultivating positivity?
I would say focusing on the positives because there are some, no matter how bad, there are some things that are positive in your life. Right. Okay, yeah, maybe you don't have the brand new car you want, but you have a car. There's people that don't have a car at all.
At all, correct.
You may not have the job that you want, but you do have a job.
Correct.
You may not have all the finer things, period. I mean, because we're going to always want more. Everybody. But just think of, there's somebody out there that will gladly take everything that you have and they will be on cloud 9 or 10 or 11.
Right.
So just remember, focus on your positive. Whenever you feel yourself feeling down, just think of the things that you are blessed with. Because those are still blessings.
Amen. Because like I've said before, and as you saw before we even started this podcast, so if I notice the number 11, I stop and I give thanks because I don't know, that's my angel number, but regardless if you into that or not, but I'm always aware and mindful of and grateful for yesterday, today, and hopefully tomorrow, because some people didn't make it here.
Right.
So if nothing else, I'm grateful for that. And so I'm looking at that. And I like to tell people, again, glass half full, because when I'm saying my prayers, and not that I'm pushing religion or Christianity or trying to force my things onto others, but this is just something I'm sharing. But I always, like I said before, I give thanks for everything, because there are a lot of things that people take for granted. Just the air that we breathe, the roof over our head, shoes on our feet, clothing on our back, the birds, the bees, the flowers, the trees, all that, because I look at the other that may not have.
Right.
And so in ending my prayers, I'm usually very vocal about asking God to help those that don't have what I have, the homeless, the sick, the hungry, because I'm none of those. And I'm very thankful and grateful that I have the things that I have, just my senses and my mobilities, just the everyday things that, being able to wake up and be able to breathe and have air and life in me. Right. So definitely being optimistic and having the focus on the positivity and the glass half full is definitely something that we all need to do to get out of that negative emotion and perspective in life.
Right, because you can self-talk yourself out of a bad mood. I'm telling you, you can. If you start to feel yourself go that way, you definitely can talk yourself right back out of it.
Yeah, definitely. Basically, what we've said is negative emotions, they're normal. It is very normal, and your feelings are valid. However, if you're having them all the time and you're consistently feeling these sort of negative emotions 24/7 or consistently throughout the day more than you are with positive, then it's probably not okay. Yeah. It's probably abnormal, and you're probably going to need to seek some assistance and try to be mindful of it and ask yourself why, and seek some help and support from others.
Yeah, because you're letting it, at that point, you're letting it control your life. And that's what we don't want. Exactly. We don't want the negative emotions to be there and live in your life for so long that it starts controlling, because sometimes if you just keep letting yourself go down, 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 it's hard to get back up versus being self-aware and addressing it before it ever gets there.
Yeah. And so self-awareness, mindfulness, and being proactive and doing things such as managing your emotions, as we talked about, and being able to regulate your mood and your emotions and doing things that are going to help you have a positive outlook on your day and life. Certain routines and rituals that you can do to just get yourself in a positive mindset. Something new I've been doing ever since our sisterhood retreat. And it's really been helpful, and it's helped my husband as well. And he has his own now. But I get up in the morning and there's a song that I like to listen to, and it's Bill Withers' A Lovely Day. And it actually has put me in that mindset. It's like if you start your day off in a positive frame of mind, for one, thanking God for the things that you do have, not thinking about the things you don't, but then also affirming and reaffirming to yourself that you're going to have. You're speaking it into existence. So I say my thanks for yesterday, today, and hopefully for tomorrow. And then I listen to Bill Withers' A Lovely Day, and I find myself dancing around and having my coffee and having a damn lovely day. And so that's something, a ritual and or routine that I'm doing to affirm that I'm going to have a lovely day and that I'm going to be in a positive mood. So you may want to find your ritual and your routine that works for you. And like I was saying, Bobby was like, well, he's like, you almost got to feel like, once you hear that and it's stuck in your head. But then he went a step further. He wanted nappy roots. Good day. Gonna have a good day. Ain't nobody gonna. So, but it's hard once you get those type of, things in your mind, they're stuck. But again, if you're sticking with these negative things in your mind, then that's where you're at. You're already stuck there. So definitely start your day off with a positive perspective and have these rituals and routines that can assist you in getting there and reminding you and helping you to be aware of your thinking, your thoughts, and your pessimist, behaviors. So,
that's so true, because another good song is Happy by Pharrell, because everybody loved that song when it came out. And it's one of those songs that come on and you go, the hell, but before you know what you're singing it, and you won't turn when it comes on. But you do dictate your mood in your day, and I say that because if you wake up and you say it's going to be negative, it is, because everything that's little that happens, you're going to stay. I knew it was going to do this, but if you're in a good mood, it takes more to bring you down. So you're like, oh, that's nothing. But you are going to dictate. If you believe it's going to be negative, it's going to be negative. If you believe it's going to be positive, it's going to be positive. It's all about how you want it to be.
Right. And so therefore, as we've stated in the goal of this episode is that we don't want you to allow negative emotions to control your life. So we want to keep a positive mindset. And what that includes is being positive oriented in your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, as well as your attitude. And then, the certain key factors for your well-being, those type of things. That's what you need. You need to have a positive outlook on life in general, and your days and your values and your beliefs and your attitudes. And some tips for building a positive mindset, some of the things that you can continue to do is to focus on your strengths. As well as your positive qualities instead of your weaknesses and the negative things that you don't like about yourself. Focus on the good. Again, glass half full, positive perspective, and then start practicing gratitude and self-compassion. Like we say all the time, give yourself some what?
Give yourself the same grace you allow everyone else.
Correct. So self-compassion and practicing gratitude, that's going to be important for you to be able to have that positive oriented outlook on life.
And I think that's a good point you made about focusing on your strengths and your positive qualities, because one of the things that was up there was inadequacy, where you don't feel like you're good enough. And that's because you're not thinking of your strengths and your positive qualities, because trust me, you have some. We all do. We all have things that you can do, and maybe the person sitting next to you, that's not their strength. So make sure that you know what those things are. And when you're feeling down, make sure that you can tell yourself, but I may not do that as good, but I do this, and this good. So just make sure you practice those things.
We all have strengths and weaknesses and gifts and talents that not everybody has, and make sure that you're not comparing yourself to others, because a lot of times people's inadequacies come from looking at or being envious of others, or trying to take on stuff about what other people are doing. Everything ain't for everybody.
And that's your perfect way for depression and being ungrateful, because nothing's going to be enough.
Trying to compare yourself to others when actually what's for you is for you, and what's for them is for them. So don't ever compare yourself to others and make yourself feel inadequate. So that's what I got for Yes. Anything else you want to share regarding to this topic? I mean, I think we've kind of covered understanding what negative emotions are, how they impact, your life and affect you, and then how you can manage them. And then we kind of told you some other things in regarding to cultivating positivity and overcoming some of the challenges of being in that negative affect or that negative perspective and being pessimistic all the time. So what's something else or anything else you want to share with the listeners today?
The only thing I will add is take it very serious. And the reason why I say that is because, like Tina said, it can lead to chronic stress. And they say every minute that you're angry, you lose so many seconds of your life or something like that. So take it serious. If you feel yourself always feeling these negative emotions all of the time, take it serious because something is wrong. And you got to feel drained. I'm just going to say, because even when you get really upset and you get mad, when you bring yourself down, you ass be tired. You be like, now I need a nap more than I needed a nap before.
Right.
But it really do. It's draining. So I can only imagine how it would feel to be any of these all the time. So just take it really serious. Think about it. It could affect your health. It could affect your next breath.
Right. And if you're not sure, start walking around with a mirror. And then, because usually if you're negative, it's going to show in your face. If you're having that negative affect or if you're having that negativity type of mindset. And if you look in the mirror and you see it and you smile, you may be able to change it,
Right.
A smile can change a lot for you and for others. So, yeah, definitely something that I'd like to leave you with. But what about some good old gems for negative emotions? What's something that you got some of those? I know I have one that I want to share, but you got some that you want to share? You always have some gems for us.
I do have some gems. I have one that I want to share, and this kind of has a lot to do with social media because I was talking to Tina about it before. And it's just that people get so consumed about what they see everybody else posting, what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
And it's starting to lead to more depression and negative emotions than ever before. So just know, just what I see somebody else with, for one, it could not be true. So that's one thing. Right. But for two, it's not yours. That's not your blessing. What's meant for you is meant for you. And them having it has nothing to do with you having it or not having it.
Nothing to do with you.
So here goes my sparkly gem here. Gratitude for what we have instead of regret for what we don't is one of the most effective ways of neutralizing bad attitudes and negative emotions.
Yeah.
And that's by Mr. Charles Glassman.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, actually. Yeah. How you have to be appreciative of what you do have instead of focusing on the things that you don't have. And that will help you, adjust your
It will.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that one with us, Doc. If you guys hear me sounding a little nostrily, it's because I am. I'm a little congested here in these allergies, and my dumb self opened the windows and went outside. So guess what? That's what you get. But anyway, I have a gem I want to share as well. I found one by Tristy Bablani, and I hope I'm saying the name correct, but that's how it looks to me. Anyway, for those of you that know this person, and if I've said their name wrong, my apologies. Don't beat me up. But anyway, the quote that I saw, it says, "Our emotions, especially the negative ones, gather color and intensity from the difference between our perceptions of what is right or good and the reality. The key to inner peace is not suppressing emotions, but flexing perceptions. The more accepting, tolerant, and understanding we become towards other perspectives and possibilities, the more our perceptional flexibility increases and lesser power our emotions gain over us." So that I felt like was really good because we don't want to allow our emotions to gain control over us. And we are in charge of our own perceptions, and our perceptions are reality. That is something I love to say, and I feel that it's completely true. Your perception is your reality. So if you perceive things as negative all the time, they're going to be negative all the time. If you perceive them to be positive, they're going to be positive. And you have the control of that, and you have the control to not allow your emotions to control you.
Right. Yeah. This is very true. So y'all know a big word for me is peace. So if these things will disturb that, and if you feel like you're constantly under stress and you're not feeling peace, then that's another red flag for you to make sure that your negative emotions are intact.
Right. And as this quote stated, the key to inner peace is not suppressing emotions, but flexing perceptions.
Right.
So flex your perceptions, people, and try not to allow those emotions to control your life. We're not saying suppress your emotions. We're saying it's normal to have those emotions, but don't allow them to control you. Flex your perceptions and be flexible in the way that you're thinking about things, and stop thinking in a half empty mode and start thinking in a half full. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, until next time, people, stay hopeful
and stay curious.
Before we part ways, we invite you to share your own stories, thoughts, and reflections with us. Connect with us on social media, reach out through our website, or simply leave a comment on your preferred podcast platform. Feel free to leave us in voicemail at 816-607-1243 with any thoughts, concerns, or questions that you'd like shared on Lifing 101 or just answered or addressed. If you prefer to send us an email, feel free to do so by sending it to our website, lifing101pod.com, or send us an email to info@lifing101pod.com. Your insights and experiences enrich our shared understanding of this incredible journey we're all a part of. Please subscribe to this podcast and follow our website, lifing101pod.com, and find and follow us on your favorite social media platforms. Stay hopeful, stay curious, and keep embracing the vibrant, unpredictable, and awe-inspiring journey that we call life. Goodbye for now, and may your days be filled with endless wonder.